Good day, everybody. Welcome to our March webinar on Dalim tips and tricks, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Today we're going to cover something that I mentioned during the December webinar that I was going to go over, which is the CC connector. Now that I have my hands on it, it is in beta, and the React database, actually a little bit further along than it was during the Worldwide Technology meeting. So figured I'd show it to y'all since the CC connector would be kind of a quick webinar. Just added a little something else and start showing that interface and getting everybody used to seeing it. So again, so we're going to go with the React interface. And when I started, I thought I was going to show you CC connector first and the interface, the new GUI kind of second, but I'm going to switch that up. I'm actually show the GUI first and then move into showing the connector just because I'm going to tie it in a little bit. So the interface is built by Tim Delia and the Dalim team. So he's using React.js, Material Design or Material UI, and the ES API with customizations that are in ES6 for the API stuff. Some stuff that's not documented yet that he's able to access. So we're going to go just kind of navigating through it, working with collections, do some editing of images, and just show what can be done with user actions and stuff, soft proofing, contact sheets, and a little bit more. So kind of just going through it in general, kind of almost a demo that I played in the background doing my webinar, but actually going through it myself so you can see how it feels. Then we'll do the CC connector, again, built by the Dalim development team itself, free of charge with your ES6. I believe it is CMIS based, so I believe it will work in ES55 as well. We're going to go through kind of working with assets in InDesign, doing checkout, check-in, placing images on the pages, uploading the PDFs out, and working with assets in Photoshop, doing checkout, check-in as well in Photoshop. So on that, we'll jump to, so this is a cloud-based ES server that Dalim is hosting, I believe in Amazon. So just to get you an idea of speeds. And definitely was working a little bit quicker for me yesterday. I noticed this morning kind of playing with it, some stuff that slowed down. And they updated the interface to a 0.7 version from the 0.1 that I was playing with before. It has a couple little bug or a little bugginess I found in it, but we'll kind of get through that. I'll explain it when I see it. They changed kind of the landing page. So the landing page shows you, this is just a list of some favorite images I checked. So it'll just show your favorite images up top. Based on your dashboard setup, it'll show you a smart view and collections. So he was playing with this before it would land kind of just on a blank page. So he's starting to play with what the landing page actually is. So at its basic, this interface is really meant for DAM users. It's meant for them to go in, find images, put them in collections, do some basic editing, downloads, that kind of stuff. So we'll kind of just go through that. So if I kind of look at all my assets on the system, there are my assets. This is the list view. So you see here I have different view modes. And in the list view, it's showing me I have 148 images returned. I can change it, how many I showed in one time, change pages to the next screen, that kind of stuff. I also have a gallery view, icon view. So you see those slide in. And this has been one of the kind of quirks or little bugs that I've run into where it stops loading the pages. From what Tim told me, it's actually an issue with it trying to load the larger thumbnail instead of the small thumbnail at some point. So he's aware of it and working on it. So see when you log in, it loads some of the images, and then as you scroll through, it does this kind of sliding load. As Tim said during Worldwide Technology meeting, he's doing that for two purposes. One, it looks better than showing a loading icon, and two, it's actually just soft loading the images as it goes. So it's not loading the whole 140 at one shot. It's doing them as you scroll through. So Here's my images. I can do other searches. So if I wanted to do, search for all the dog images I have, or seashore, anything like that, all the searches are there. It's tied into Elasticsearch from the search engine. So you're just doing exactly what you would be doing in ES. Any of your searches, you can actually come here and save your searches. So seashore confirmed. So I have my saved searches I can get to now. And I have that one as a saved search. So other things you can do in here, and we'll go back to kind of like the full view, get all my images again. I have an upload button, so I can upload images, or I can also change my preferences. Now you put a lot of different things in the preferences that are kind of nice to be hidden away there, but able to change. Unlike a lot of desktops that Dalim was created before, you actually have the ability to change between two themes, and these are created by the administrator, so they can attach two themes to this. And then the themes hold through if you're doing dialogue or soft proofing or in the interface itself. So you have two different ones you can go to. You can change your language. You can change the thumbnail size in this slider. So instead of taking up real estate in the main interface, it's all hidden away here. For the list view, you can see you can actually change the metadata that you're actually viewing here. So if I want to see who the creator is for these images, you can do that. And images, and I know I have some in here that have a creator. Actually, let me change where I'm at in the node. Probably there's some. So we do have the creator information, whatever metadata we want to display on the screen, we can actually display that by changing it in the preferences here. And then there's, of course, your logout button as well. So if I come back in here and view all my assets again, we're also, other than simple searches and searching on keywords for my files, we're always used to searching on different things, using maybe facets to search. So facets are built into it, depending on your user profile. You can view those. So if I want to see just images I have of dogs, I can pull that up. And of those dogs, I have 11 that are Chihuahuas. So I can pull that up and see my 11 images that are Chihuahuas, or my 3 of my wife's poodle. Yes, I favor my Chihuahuas more than a poodle. Sorry. And then you can just turn those off. So you can work with facets just like you would in the search screen of ES itself. You're also able to work on taxonomies. So if I'm going here and I have a taxonomy set up for animals, and so we're going to go this route. And at any level I can choose it. It's going to show me the images that match that level. So I have 3 sharks that show up under that, or if I come here, I can close this out, go back up to the top level. Cordala is all the animals I have. Or I could go down to cats and pull up my cat images. So that's my Sadie cat. So nice, you can work with facets, you can work with taxonomies, or just general searches. It gives you any way you want to work like that. You're able, of course, here to kind of browse your structure. So one of the things he added in this newest version is you're able to actually browse your projects now as well. So it's not just file system based. Or browse through your file system, your folders that you have here, and look at all your images. And again, it stops loading. So we just do a little minor change there, and we should get that loading again. Again, we talked about two of the view modes. One is the gallery view or grid view, the table view, list view, and then you also have kind of a side-by-side view. So this is kind of familiar to some of you in ES, and you can kind of go through and view images side by side, tag them as you want, or anything like that. This is what you have. If I go back to here, is one of the ways, if you notice right now, I have some images up on screen, but what can I do with them other than, select them or something like that? The tools pop up as you hover over images. So when you're hovering over the image, you'll notice this is my view in dialog mode. So now pull it up in dialog. My download, share. So if I want to share it out to social media, I can do the download, viewer, put an expiration date, share it out to social media. I can pull my info, which opens up a light box. Here I can change whatever metadata I have set that I can get to. So put it here, I can edit the metadata this is, and choose from that's a enumeration, or I can just rate it or whatever I want and check it. So I'm able to modify my metadata directly inside. I'm able to add it to my collection. So that's what the shopping cart is. Then I'm able to do a couple other things that we're used to doing sometimes in searches. I'm not sure how many of our customers actually do this, but we're able to, one is do search for similar. So we're doing search based on similarity to that image. And then we're also able to do search on color. So now I'm doing search based on the color of the file. Or, and I guess I should have shown this earlier, I can do search color just for a specific color. And depending on your browser, because I think in Firefox, you actually can use the pointer like this and actually change it, but it was working in the previous version. It looks like it doesn't work right now, but in Firefox, you'll actually be able to choose your color, and that is browser based. So going back, we're able to crop the image directly. So if you come in here, do a crop of the image, and this isn't to save in the system. This is actually to go ahead and download that crop version. There is a bug, I think, in the ES6 still running on this, where it's not doing, but does the image conversion. I can download as PSD, it doesn't name it correctly, but it's not changing the color space. But basically, you're able to go ahead and choose what type of image you want, the scaling of it, resolution, whether you view that in pixels, centimeters, inches, whatever it is, and the color space of it. And you submit that, processes it, and downloads it to the browser. Open that, and there's my cropped image. You're able to add it to your favorites. So now it'll show up on my favorite screen when I come in. You're able to access all your user actions. So I'm not sure what most of these do for them, but you're able to actually get through any of the user actions through here and run the user action on the file. And then you're able to delete the file. So that's kind of just working on the image itself. Something else they've added on the new version is you actually can see the revision of the file as well. You see the one on most of my files. One revision, I have some around here that have a couple revisions right now. So that's just something new that Tim's added recently. So inside here, you're also able to do multi-selection. So I can drag across up and multi-selection. Of course, then these little buttons won't work, but they come up over here on the left. So you'll be able to access the same things if I want to view all of these in dialog at once. Pop it in here, they'll all load in dialog. I can use selection just like I would in any other thing where I can select around and do the same. I'm able to download those if I want, share them, go to access my user actions, metadata, so I can do metadata on those specific files, all of those files, and now it just comes up in this pop-up, since it wouldn't be able to show the preview. I can do custom downloads, so I can do the same thing I did with that, where I'm doing the download and changing the file format or color space, resolution, whatever I want. Again, this right now in this version is not working. It's just downloading one of the images, but that's something actually that's an ES-centric thing, not an interface issue. I'm able to do contact sheet of those. So and let me do some more on that contact sheet. We'll grab a good number of images here. Do a contact sheet. Contact sheet named here. Select the name. And when you hit print, it's actually giving you a preview of what your printout's going to look like. So whatever changes you make here, it's changing it on screen. I have it saved to PDF, or I could go straight to my printer. Don't want to print all pages. Oops, didn't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I can fit pages so it fits, or I can scale them to a specific scale. As I scale down, I can actually see the changes it's making on screen. And then basically, once I'm ready to go, I can, actually in here, before I even do that, I can choose what metadata I want to add as well. So right now, if I click on show selected only, shows me I'm doing the rating and the Dublin core date. But if I want to add to that, let's say we wanted to add there we go. The breeding type as well for the ones I had that on. And now when I go, I get that metadata as well. So you can change that on the fly. Hit save or download PDF. So that's the main parts of searching, working images that way. Next thing we go into is our collections and how we work with collections. So the basket's over here. And by default, when you log in, it starts you with the blank collection, but you're able to kind of go in here, view some other collections you may have, switch to those. So if I switch to that collection, see that, see what's in that collection, or I can make a new collection, sorry, from my searches. So let's say I wanted to start looking for something I'm gonna use in my cover when I do my CC Connector demo. And look for some images that may work for cover, select those, and then either come in here and just add them to the basket this way, or here, I could say I want a new collection with those. I can change the access rights. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make my webinar user an editor of this, and I'm gonna keep myself on here as well because I made the mistake before and I couldn't see it anymore. But now I've added those images to my basket. My cover images are live now. Go to it, and that's interesting. Yeah, well, I'll add these to it. So they should be in there now. And they're in my collection. It's pretty easy to work with. Yeah, everything's right where you want it. It's a very quick interface and very easy for users to get to and use. So definitely like that a lot. So once you've kind of gone through, I have my collection done and all that, I'm ready to work in InDesign, Photoshop, work on files. We now have a CC connector. CC connector is beta right now. So they didn't give me an ETA of when it's going to be available, but from using it, just preparing for this demo, it actually seems pretty close. I don't see it something that's going to take too long to get out. The React interface is a little bit different. They're building more features into it and trying to really round it out. But based on it being 0.7, I think that they're definitely working there. Hopefully we'll see it later this year. But I can see the CC connector interface being ready really soon. So you come in, you launch it. You can choose different servers you want to connect to. Connect, it logs you into ES. Those of you who played with the other plugin, just seem very familiar. It's using the same technology behind the scenes to access ES, the CMIS API. So you log in, you're seeing what you have access to, your collections, your file systems, customers, and I know in my project folder here, I have an InDesign page. So in the bottom, to check this out, I just check out the file, it'll download it directly. And if I look in, hopefully I left that up, you notice in ES right now, you see that that is a checked out file. It's checked out, it shows other users you have access to it. And then I just have kind of a prepared document. One thing I wanted to show is this document has some images already placed in it. And if you go to the middle tab, the document information tab, will give you information about the document, where it's located, how many versions there are of it, and what images on it. If you notice these images that are placed on it, it's showing local. So these are assets that are not in ES currently. So right now, these are just locally linked. If someone else opened them, they wouldn't have access to those assets. So what I want to do, and maybe I want to just put them in the project itself, I can actually use the plugin, click the button here, and it'll upload all local links to ES and link them through that. So right now it's going through, it's uploading these local images, and it's a little beta bug there where it showed that error. But it's going ahead and loading those into ES. And I think I got to do it again. Because if I look here, you'll see one of them went ahead and linked, the other ones didn't. Anyway, that'll be working better later. You see, I kind of, they actually uploaded them, but it is kind of losing connection. And that's one thing I noticed, it kind of loses where it's at a little bit. But as it uploads them, it'll link those and connect them here where you actually have an image that's linked to the page itself, to ES itself. But for the rest of it, so I'm looking for my cover images, and what I want to do, I want to actually, I know there's a collection and somebody went ahead and selected some possibilities for me, so I'm able to look at those, go to the collection that was shared with me, see those images, select it, see if I like any of them. No, I think that's too busy. You know, or maybe I'll grab that one. I think that works well. I miss France since I can't travel. And we'll throw that on there just to show you that this is a Photoshop file and everything comes over from it, so it's fully functional. And let's see, duplicate that. And even the clipping path will come over from that file. So I'm able to grab that, clip it, and put that on my page. Here inside the plugin, I'm able to search. So if I want to search for images of cats, I'm able to do that. And I can come in and throw my cats in here. Same thing if I want to do dog. Put dogs in there. These are all not my dogs. My daughter took a bunch of pictures at a local parade a few years ago. It's called Barkus. It's a dog parade. So that's why you see some of these dogs in costumes. But some of them are ours. So that easy, you're able to go in. And one thing you have to remember, and this has caught me a couple of times, if you're doing searches and stuff, if you notice everything's grayed out at the bottom, it's not ready to actually do anything with it because you're not in the proper folder for it. You're in a search folder. It doesn't know where you would put this. You also have to remember to save your file. And we'll kind of cover what it's doing behind the scenes a little bit. So save my file, go back in, go to my project folder here. And one thing I can do is upload the page. So I can actually upload the InDesign page itself. Hopefully it does that. It doesn't decide to start giving me problems. And of course, it's going to give me problems. So let's try that again. Might get rid of those images that we're missing. I think it's working a ton. The second, you see it's in there, got success. And you do have to hit the refresh button, it's there, and if I look in here, here's my design page with the InDesign preview built into it of everything. So if I'm happy, everything looks good, I'm ready to go with it, do the plugin, and I guess I should kind of show you some of the settings first, but in the settings, you have different things. You can do auto save on upload, which just warns you and will save the file before it uploads, which is definitely a nice trap feature. You can use high-res or low-res images. So if you're in a very slow connection, you don't necessarily need the high-res. You can set it to low-res mode. And I'll actually show you how to change those. You're able to change the repository you're connecting to. So if I want to change the server I was connected to, I can do that. Or change the user I'm logged in as. It's showing me I'm logged in this webinar. And click here and it'll actually take me out and I could go to a different user if I want. I can set a cache folder. So I can change that location wherever I want. So if I'm building up a large cache and I don't have much local storage, I can put it up on a separate drive. It also shows me the amount of files I have in that cache. It's 200 megs right now, and I can clear out the cache because it will keep the cache. It doesn't automatically clean that out. And it also shows me the version I'm on, which I'm on 1.0. Here, what we cover is it'll actually allow you to change the preset that you're exporting your files as. So I changed to X1A. Now when I come here, go back in, since I logged out back in, and export, it'll export it as an X1A with those settings. One thing I did find, and I need to test it in this latest version, is if you have it on, if it's set to ASCII, it'll actually come up and you can actually change things like your page range. So if you notice, this is a 40 meg file here. It's a pretty decent sized InDesign file. It really does not take long to put it there. There's my PDF showing up. Show here. There's my PDF already in. And let me test that since I didn't test that before the webinar. You can say ask. Come up, and this now, like, one of the things I wanted them to change in Silicon Publishing, since it does this, I'm able here to actually say if I wanted to upload just the first page or second page, I can actually do that now, which is nice. You're able to break the links here as well. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but you are able to actually break the links if you want. If you have a file checked out, so I'll go ahead and close this and say I checked this file out and it was the wrong file or something like that. So And again, there, it just downloaded that file that quickly. So it works pretty quickly, and I'm not on the fastest connection here at the office. We're kind of in a residential area and we don't have great internet yet. But I want to do that. And now you notice it's still locked, it's still checked out. You see it's still checked out. I can hit the unlock button here and unlock it and I check it out. So kind of control to do everything you need inside of here. And that's pretty much the InDesign plugin. Same plugin actually works in Photoshop. Connect the same way, log in, see my images. I can do searches, do whatever I want on the file. So if I want to come here and search for everything that's a building, I can do that, see a file, check it out, downloads it. I have the high res here. If I wanted to do some retouching, get rid of this little artifact here. Yes, I know it's not a great job, but same thing, save the file. And again, like I mentioned before, because I found this on the search, I cannot upload it right to this location. It doesn't know where it's at, just the return of a search. So I can come in here, go to file system, and come where I know it is, or wherever I want to put it, upload that back in. So there, it's uploaded, it's back in, and it's there. And that's pretty much there's not much else in the Photoshop plugin. You're gonna check out files, you're gonna retouch them, you check them back in. Hopefully someday I would love to see smart views in there so I could kind of have a working list, but since they're using CMIS, it doesn't really have access to that. Same kind of settings, you're still using the same cache folder and not much else. One thing I did forget to kind of show in here, and I'm going to go ahead and check my document out. So I'm back in InDesign, check my document out. Go look at my file and I've got the Photoshop file. This is kind of the high res, low res thing. So I'm able to come here and this is now the low res version of the file. So if you notice, you can't see much difference on screen, but you'll notice here it's now linked to the actual preview of the file. So take one of the previews in ES, and that's what it links to instead. One thing I did want to bring up, and it's something that, especially if you're used to working on the Silicon Publishing version of the plugin, or their plugin, you'll typically see the images actually linked to a URL that is linked inside of ES. So you'll see HTTP or HTTPS : hostname. Dalim works a little bit different. It's always linked to your local cache as far as InDesign goes. The plugin is doing the work of connecting it, as we saw here, to ES itself. What that means is that it would be a little bit of work you'd have to do if, if somebody else opens this, they can just use if they have the plugin, they'll be able to link to the images via the plugin. Not an issue at all, works great. If they use an InDesign server though, the InDesign server doesn't really have the plugin available to it. It can't do that. So Dalim, and this is something I just got provided and I'll be working on this, they do give some InDesign scripts that will actually do the replacements for you. So you can use InDesign server if you're dealing with InDesign files, like if you're just using them, some background process or something like that. So I think that's about everything. One thing I did want to mention is the ES connector right now works with InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, which I didn't show because I don't do much Illustrator work. It works with CC20, CC21 officially. I've used it with CC19 for a test for a customer. It seemed to work fine, but it's not officially supported. In the future, though, they're saying they will be supporting Microsoft Office. So I think that's going to be interesting. For some users, it might be good to do. Good to have that. So do you have any questions?
Yeah, here's a couple of questions, Fred. The first one, I assume, is in reference to the React interface, and that is, can you integrate with the Amazon image recognition for your tagging of your images?
Okay, that's more of that actually is a general ES question in a way. I think they're talking about specifically like recognition. So you notice, and it's easy to just show that in ES itself. So we look at our objects, right now we have the AI inside of ES tagging images automatically. So that's where all this metadata comes from. That wasn't in the image. Just to prove that, make sure this is one of my images. So this is the metadata that was tagged to it by the AI that's built into ES itself. People have criticized this as being a little bit of a basic AI. It's not really learning, it's not getting better necessarily. And for the most part, I think most of my images, it hasn't been too bad, but I have seen issues with it where it really completely mistags stuff. And maybe the newer ones a little bit better. I haven't had much time to play with it. But overall, some people are used to using an AI engine inside of something like Amazon's recognition or Google's, something like that. If you wanted to tie into that in ES, that would be like a step script you would put in your workflow that would pull that information that gets retrieved by AWS and back in. So you can do that. Doesn't really have anything to do with the new interface. It's just ES itself. In fact, I was just talking to Brennan about, maybe I was thinking about trying to add that to this, but I was like, I might be a bit much to chew off to explain.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think the main reason Dalim uses the pre-trained AI is so that you don't need an internet connection to use it. You can run it with a closed gap ES system.
Yes, yeah. That is probably correct. But because you can tie into your favorite engine as long as there's an API for it, it's not really that much of a limitation. We've done it, I think, at the last physical duo we had, I think there was a little bit where Bindler, I think, actually showed an example of that, where he tied into it. All right, what else we got?
Next question, and I think I know the answer, is can you have custom presets for PDF output from the connector? And I'm pretty sure if you create custom presets, they show up in that list.
Yeah, the presets that show up are straight from whatever you have built into your InDesign. So while you're asking the other one, I can make one if I remember how to make one. And immediately showed up. So there you go.
Okay, follow up to that one is another pretty easy one. The question is, any chance you can export a PDF into a Dalim ES workflow? And the answer is definitely, because when you upload these into ES, it picks up whatever the document workflow is that's associated with the project or the folder you throw it in.
That's correct, yeah. That's a PDF I uploaded, came into this project, and whatever the workflow was that this project is associated with is what would have run. I think that's not PDF usually.
And there's ways you can trick it out to just use twist workflows, because you could have file system folders that are really just pointers to twist or e-twist workflows. So there's a lot of ways you can dump them into specific folders to get it to run specific workflows.
Yeah, all the flexibility of ES is still there for it. Just anything coming in, we can even tag it coming out of InDesign, so that based on intelligence or some logic of the workflow on what we're tagging.
Okay, last one is, can you track digital rights management, which is something I think Dalim has talked about over the last few years?
Say it again.
Can you track digital rights management?
They have discussed it, and if I'm not mistaken, their custom ticket. Let me come back here. You'll actually notice some copyright, rights usage terms, copyright and URL. So they do have job tickets and everything available for that. And I can actually put the copyright information in as I'm uploading. That's actually something I didn't actually show was if I am wanting to actually come in here and I wanted to upload some new files to this. And let's see. I'm able to drag and drop. It'll come in here, show the images. And I'm actually able to also access any upload tickets through here. So if I just wanted to put my creator information in here, if I wanted to actually say there's a specific type of animal or any information I put, this is just an upload job ticket that's available to us. But if I come in here, hit upload, and it uploads. So you see the progress, nice little progress bars going. See exactly what's happening there. It's done, and come in and we have the new assets. And but one thing I ran into and didn't really realize this, and maybe it's been there, Mike, I'm not even sure. But inside of ES itself, you can drag and drop. So instead of having to hit the upload button in that, I don't know how long that's been in there. I don't know if that's an ES6 thing, but that is there now. I ran into it by accident. So able to do that as well. And I could have tagged my metadata as well here and used it.
How did you do that? What did you just do?
Let me let that finish uploading.
You just dragged them on top of the.
I just dragged them on. Yeah. Come on, finish up. Okay. Yeah, I just dragged it from my desktop, and you see that pops up, and just put them in there. I guess so they're uploading. There you go. Comes up, and there's my upload ticket. Everything's there. Interesting, huh?
Learn something every day.
I was trying to drag here, and I dragged here, and I was like, oh, look at that. It actually works. So I don't know. I'm not sure how far back that goes. But let's see. A couple more comments and questions.
Yeah, we have several comments from Mr. Blanks. Let's see.
So he says we can actually integrate with, I can't read that on my screen. I should focus over here. There we go. One, FADEL for advanced rights management. So it is something that they've been working on a lot, because especially in Europe, that using it a lot more with that kind of stuff. And then they currently only support Creative Commons rights management. Actually, so what Graham says that for the custom AI, so recognition type stuff, that they actually would recommend customizing the preview step in ES. So makes sense. So we're actually not sure what that would entail. I have to actually find out now. And actually customize the preview step itself, call a script, I guess, and actually use that engine. So instead of double tagging, I guess, which makes sense, Graham. Thank you.
If you wanted to do something with rights management, I think it's in Dublin Core, but that's metadata somewhere where you can track that. And you could probably set up some triggers in ES to, for example, delete files or handle them differently based on that metadata.
And Brennan has added that the upload has been there since the HTML uploader, which would be forever. And I'm embarrassed if it's been there that long and I never found it. So
I never knew about it either.
I completely went into it. So I'm not sure if Brennan's right there, but I'll go with what he says. I'm sure Mike will be testing this really soon. And I think that's all all the questions we had. So hopefully everybody found that informative. Again, we'll be doing our next webinar, third Wednesday of April. We don't know what the topic's going to be yet. We have a lot to cover with ES6 stuff. But again, as always, if you do think of something you want covered, if we think it's beneficial for everybody, we'll be happy to do that, either next or one of the ones coming up soon. So just email us at text@landsys.com. We'll be happy to kind of go over that with you. So on that note, everybody enjoy the rest of your St. Patrick's Day, and y'all have a good one. Talk to y'all next time.